like I say, some construction workers find out about me or talk to me or get information on me basically, and some of them even say, "Well, we followed your advice. We started looking around and we started seeing things because I started to say anyway though." Um, like I said, like I say, and I told other people this. I said, "Well, I had steroid research groups. You know, there's one in America." Um, one in Britain and one in Russia or something like that, where they were giving people steroids. You know, controlled amounts of steroids, low dose. You know, nothing fancy, nothing like huge muscle. Oh. You know, it was like just like normal sized muscles and all that other stuff. So anyway, all this stuff I'm sure would be considered top secret national security, as basically has to do with JFK. You know, everything points back to JFK basically. Basically, what they did was they went into Harvard. Some people say it was Oxford or something like that. Maybe it was Oxford where they went in. But basically, they went in, they grabbed the German doctors, grabbed the steroids, and basically tortured them, and basically figured out how to make more steroids or something like that. And they started pumping people full of outrageous amounts of steroids. So, way beyond what would be considered safe, almost to the point of brain damage. So, basically they started, you know, just like it's an injection or something like that. You inject it into the muscle, and basically they were giving people such high doses that it was actually causing brain damage. So anyway, I what it was I asked about why these people, because some people were like, oh, Adrian, you know, I was like, that's what the hell I. And some people said, well, that's what happens when you give people really high doses of steroids. I was like, what? Why would anybody be doing that? How are they doing this? And some people said it was a black market that they're getting it from. Anyway, or something like that. But like I said, I was like, but I'm the only one with steroids. You know, I was the only one with that kind of technology back then. So I was like, where are they getting this? And my steroids are 100% safe anyway. You know, you don't get that Adrian off of my steroids. So anyway though, but basically, so basically, what we find out basically is pretty much JFK or the black people are getting steroids from the American government, which is basically from Trumpy or from JFK and Nixon and everybody else. So it was basically they were pumping people full of steroids to win at sports games or something like that, or something ridiculous. Anyway, so basically what they did was they went into Oxford or Harvard or Yale or one of these cool schools where I had one of these programs going, and they grabbed the German doctor, they tortured the shit out of him, they figured out how to make them, or they make them wrong basically, and they start making basically what they call guerrilla warriors. So, and this is basically what JFK or someone's doing, and then they start going around uh, Europe or something like that, basically muscling in and basically punching people and hurting people and all that stuff. And that's how you get all these muscle-bound warriors going, you know, and they're basically JFK's hit squad. So anyway, eventually, somewhere around 1950 or some year, basically all this stuff starts breaking out. Basically, you know, like I said, JFK had a lot more power until we shot him in the head. And it was actually, like I said, it was what happened was Lee Harvey Oswald. And what happened was basically Lee Harvey Oswald and Jackie Oswald had fallen in love together, you know, and they loved each other. But anyway, though, apparently the story goes is that basically JFK was a very, very, very jealous person. Nobody says no to JFK. Or basically Nixon, basically. So basically, Nixon labeled Lee Harvey Oswald as a spy. You know, originally what they were in a coin counterfeiting ring together. Basically, they would get old Ford frames or old frames from cars, or they would order the frames, just the frames, saying that the frames for the cars they had were bent or something, and then they were making coins, and basically then they would basically electroplate the coins, and basically then that's how they were having money until they got into the White House. Anyway, once they got in the White House, then they started printing my dollar bills, basically. And they were basically funding the Republicans or the Republic, basically, and trying to get enough money to basically raid Europe and basically take over the printing presses in Europe, because all the money came from Germany, because all my printing presses were in Germany. Germany also did all the accounting for America and all the other countries, as Germany was basically my country. So they were doing everything that I asked. So anyway, so basically, so JFK was pretty much was or Nixon was involved in this counterfeiting ring, basically taking old Ford frames and basically using them to stamp coins, and basically blah 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 blah, being bada doom. Um, and basically, so eventually, Lee Harvey Oswald finds out about me, the creator, and basically how I'm Lucifer White Star, and blah 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 blah. And he's even like, "Why are we doing this? There's no point. What are we doing? Because like I have coined things in Birmingham, and basically we have a perfectly good world. You had a perfectly good world, but basically." And basically, JFK wanted to get into the White House, and then they're stealing money from Jackie out of the White House because I was giving money to Jackie because Jackie was this woman running away from, I guess, Nixon or someone, I don't know, some governor or somebody basically. And so she goes to the White House. Anyway, whatever. It gets all complicated and confusing as basically time, space, and all kinds of other things intervene in all this. As basically, it's my White House, it's my Washington D.C. building, and basically JFK or Nixon starts cloning himself, does lots of clones, starts, and then he starts oppressing on women and all kinds of stuff. And you're like, well, I don't believe it. Oh, it's like, well, you have to understand, I was supposed to be in the White House. It's my White House. So I'm Lucifer White Star of Birmingham and Belfast, having launched ships all the way from Helena, Troy. It goes all the way back to Rome. And a lot of the Sicilians and a lot of the mob people, or a lot of the people in old Europe used to know that it went all the way back to Rome. Like Rome was one of my governments, one of my first governments, and then after that, I had all these other governments, and I kept on tweaking and changing and fixing and doing and adjusting, and basically, finally we get to pretty much, what is closer to present day. Anyway, though, but these are all my civilizations that I've been doing. So anyway, though, so it's all me basically. Anyway, and like I say, I don't care. I'm 100 trillion years old. But basically, that's why, and so I was starting to build roads way back then. But the technology was limited, or blah, 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 and all kinds of other stuff. But I have other life forms as well, exoskeletons, 1.5s, and everything else. Anyway, and it gets into a big existence battle, basically. As pretty much JFK, Nixon, and all these other people, they start working together with Lee Harvey Oswald, and then Lee Harvey Oswald's life changes over the years as he becomes basically working for me and becomes like an expert survivalist, and is trained by the Indians and all kinds of other stuff, and basically, in the end, he, what happened was basically JFK or Nixon basically calls him a traitor and tries to have him killed, or something like that. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know. That was their existence, basically. And basically because I liked Lee Harvey Oswald better, and Lee Harvey Oswald was a family man. So I was going to make him president, or at least he was going to be president rather than JFK or Nixon. So as he was a much better person, really. And he had changed over the years. So anyway, so they label him a spy, they label him a traitor, all that other stuff, and he knows how bad JFK Nixon is, so he kills JFK, or something like that. And he might have killed JFK for Nixon, I'm not exactly sure. Like, I don't know. It gets all confusing, and it gets all into existence and aircraft, and like the American Airlines Company, and basically, the White Star Lines Company, and, and this is all before 1950 or blah, 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 or some year like that, and then, like I say, a lot of things change, a lot of things happen, basically, and that's why it's an existence battle. As basically I am the namer of America and the creator of the Constitution, and also the leader of Belfast and the Lucifer White Star Line Company. Anyway, and like I say, it's not just the human race. I designed the female life form type. I designed exoskeletons, endoskeletons, and also the what's it called. And so basically JFK is trying to get to space to try and be able to kill me. So because I offered up to the astronauts, I come and say to the Earth, I say, well, if you can get to space, I'll pick you up because I'm in a spaceship. So I pick them up, I take them to Mars, I take them around the galaxy, and basically they make a move on me. So, and my exoskeletons and my 1.5s basically wipe the walls with them. So anyway, it gets all complicated as it's over billions or trillions of years, but basically this is what's all been going down. And that's what has to do with the LSA and basically colony ships in space. So anyway, eventually the Gypsies, the Gypsies Empire, like I say, I gave the Gypsies some trains and also some steam organs and a bunch of other stuff, and was paying them out of the city fund or the taxes to basically promote happiness and wellness around my cities. So the Gypsies actually knew me very well. And I believe there's even some film of gypsies, of ancient old gypsies, dancing and stuff like that, as they were basically a group working for me, and a very good group. And they might have actually been what became basically Circus Olay or something like that. As we were having theaters, like I love the gypsies. They are wonderful people. They had beautiful clothing and they sewed their own clothing and they were a great group and they used to have little puppet shows and they used to tell little stories. Like they were basically a group of storytellers, magicians, and pretty much and actors basically. They were a great group and they would basically set up whole festivals in towns and basically have a festival down the main street of a town like every, so often. And they actually even built roads for me because there weren't any roads in the country they were in. So